Cowabunga, bitches! Today we are going to be ranking every single Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie to find out which one's best. Why? Because I like turtles, and I want to. Not every video of mine needs a Dr. Doofenshmirtz level backstory or something that I have a serious problem with. That said, I do have a serious problem, and that is that I don't know which one of these movies is best, and I don't think the internet can agree on one either. So I'm gonna have to figure this one out on my own. Let's rank the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. Now, in order to properly rank these movies, we need a proper ranking system, and that system will be the totally original 5-star system. Each star will be equal to 5 points, meaning that the total number of points a movie can get is 5 stars or 25 points. But the other aspect of our ranking system is that each star will be representative of a certain aspect of the film, and those aspects are as followed. Star 1 will be about our 4 main characters, the Turtles. The way I see the Turtles is simple. Leo is the leader and struggles with leadership. He also loves but constantly fights with Raph. Raph is the misunderstood loner who does his own thing and constantly argues with Leo but loves his family dearly. Donnie is the brains. He's the brains, he's the nerd. And Mikey is the comedial mastermind in what I consider to be the heart and soul of the group. So we will be ranking these movies based on how well they portray these characters as what I envision them being, or just simply how good they are in the film in general. The second star is the villain. Basically, is the villain a good villain? Do they fight well? Do they have good plans? Are their motives good? Etc. The third star is all about the plot and if the plot is good. I feel like in my last ranking videos, I kind of skipped over the plots and ranked some movies better than they actually were because I didn't cover the terrible storylines. So the plot is important. The fourth star is even more important, which is how much ninja-ing is in the film. I'm gonna call it the ninja star. Get it? But there are 4 aspects to the Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Of those 4 aspects, there is only one thing that can actually be untrue, the ninja part. They can't change the fact that they're teenagers, or mutants, or turtles. But if they don't freaking sneak, or hide, or fight in the shadows, I won't consider them ninjas, and they will not get the full 5 points. Also, I know at one point they were called the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. No. Just no. I would never call them that if I was on my deathbed. And then the last star, which is the most important, it's not even debatable, is how much pizza is in the movie. The Turtles love pizza. It is the only thing they eat. So I will rank the movie based on how much pizza is in it, both in quantity of pizza within the scenes that have pizza, and the quantity of scenes featuring pizza. Now with those 5 stars, I think we can come to a pretty solid conclusion of which movie is best. But we also have 3 bonus stars at the end, just like in Mario Party, that could change the fate of which movie takes the crown. Each bonus star will be worth 3 points, and I will wait till the end of the video to tell you what they represent, both to enhance the plot and hopefully increase viewer retention and watch time. I have no shame. But with all of that out of the way, we can finally begin our ranking.
I like turtles.
So starting off, we have the classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie from 1990, the movie that started it all, at least for live action purposes. It begins with a news report depicting all of the incredibly dangerous crimes being committed in the area, stealing TVs. Yeah, so apparently the main plot of the Shredder, spoiler, he's the main villain, is to steal everyday items and tech like TVs and video games, etc. in order to create his own underground Dave & Buster's so that he can influence kids and young teenagers to join his fetish named cult, the Foot Clan, an ancient martial arts organization hell-bent on something. I don't really know. They never really say what their intentions are. Anyway, reporting this story to the media is the one and only April O'Neil, who on her way home from work, dressing like little Timmy from It, I don't actually remember what the actual kid's name from It is, but Timmy sounds like a kid's name, she gets mugged, only to be saved by the most unlikely of heroes, or ninjas, the Turtles, who actually do save her in a very ninja-like fashion. Very nice. However, Raph accidentally leaves behind his sigh. I realized writing the script, I don't know how to spell sigh. Anyway, he says damn, which is pretty much his favorite word in the whole movie. Damn! Then we meet the Turtles, vibing out to their successful mugging rescue with Raph still being upset. Then we meet Splinter, who makes sure to keep them humble with their win, only for Mikey to immediately order pizza. But hey, W for having them be ninjas and order pizza in the first 5 minutes of the film. And then they vibe, as they should. Later that night, we see Raph out on his own, dressed up like Ben from Fantastic Four 2005, only to meet hockey man Casey, who I remember loving growing up, but now he kind of feels like a creep. The 90s were crazy, man. Then we get a heart-to-heart with Raph and Splinter, which I have to say this movie handles the emotional moments really fucking well. I really enjoy them. Anyway, then we meet April's boss and his son Sid from Toy Story. I don't care what his actual name is, I'm calling him Sid. But she continues to report on the Foot Clan, which makes Walmart Darth Vader very angry. So he sends the Foot after her, only to be saved by Raph. Raph then takes her back to their home in the sewer where she finally meets the Turtles and Splinter, and screams so high-pitched that only dogs can hear her.
Hi. It is really quite simple, Miss O'Neill. 15 years ago.
Why don't I ever dream of Harrison Ford?
I'm with Splinter. Lock in, April. It's backstory time. Anyway, during backstory time, we learn that Splinter found the turtles in the sewer along with a strange green liquid called Ooze, which gave them all mutations. Whoa, it's almost like it's in the name. But also that he was a pet of a martial artist named Master Yoshi, who he learned the art of ninja from. Then they take April back home where this happens.
I really don't have anything to offer you guys except for frozen pizza.
Let's go for it!
Yeah, I love this movie, but sometimes I do feel high as shit when watching this. Then they all have a great time joking around while eating pizza, even though April looks dead inside and looks like she can't wait for them to leave. I've been there, April, trust me. Then back home, they see that their home was broken into and Splinter was taken, which sends Raph into a spiral that literally causes the movie to clip its audio in my recording of it. So they stay at April's while they figure out what to do. But April's boss shows up with Sid. Holy shit, his shirt literally says Sid. Wait, I didn't even realize that until just now. I'm just intuitive like that. Yes. Yes, you should subscribe due to my intellect. Yes. But Sid gets mad at his dad for reasons and runs away to the Dave & Buster's. And I gotta say, even though I don't drink, smoke, play poker, skateboard, or chew gum, this place looks like a vibe, I can't even lie. Then Shredder calls a meeting where he actually unironically has insane levels of aura. He literally must have watched A New Hope and saw Vader's introduction and thought, how could I top that? But he's like, hey, I like turtles. And then Trader Sid's like, hey, I know where turtles are. Then Raph and Leo get into a fight. Raph says, damn again. Damn! And then Casey sees him from across the way because New York is apparently the size of my college dorm room. But then Raph gets snuck up on. Come on, Raph. Not a very good ninja if you're the one getting ninja'd on. But the fight scene is actually pretty good for the 90s. I like it.
I mean, come on. How do you guys expect to beat me? Good answer. Good answer.
But Raph gets the shit kicked out of him, and then the rest of the gang gets thrown into the mix, where Mikey has a nunchuck off against his foot member. Which, by the way, let me just say, rarely do any of these movies show the nunchucks in action. It's just always this move. Show me how they work in a fight. I still don't understand why they're used. Anyway, after a very serious and totally not goofy fight, Casey shows up and is like, hey, I'm here to fight too. Then this Foot Clan member fucking dies, and the whole place gets set on fire, and the turtles all escape. Shredder gets mad, Sid feels bad, and then the turtles end up at the Conjuring house. Then the next part of the movie shows everyone recovering from the battle, where April unlocks a core memory of mine trying to draw this exact picture growing up. Yes, I used to be quite the artist. And now I draw stick figures in Microsoft Paint to tell my Doofenshmirtz level backstories. I've come a long way. But Raph finally comes to and makes up with Leo. Then we get the famous shot of Donnie where we can see the creepy ass face within the face. We see Casey and April flirting while also being very creepy. Seriously, was Casey always this aggressive and touchy? Man, the 90s were crazy. Mikey makes a sick turtle wax joke, and then Leo speaks to Splinter's Force Ghost even though he's not dead. I don't know how it works either, but I really enjoy this scene actually. Once again, this movie does a good job with the emotional moments. So they head back to the city where they see that Sid is hiding in their closet, only to leave immediately and go back to the Dave & Buster's, where we learn more about Shredder's backstory. Apparently, Master Yoshi and Shredder both love the same woman, and Shredder killed her and Master Yoshi because of it, but Splinter sliced Shredder's face in the process. Then Shredder catches Sid and reaches around him kinda weirdly. What are you doing there, Shredder? But he finds out that the turtles are back. Then another fight ensues in the sewer.
Gosh, I do hope there's more of them.
Raph, shut your big dumb fucking mouth. You keep jinxing shit. Shut up. Anyway, they beat all the Foot Clan, no problem, until Shredder shows up. Aura. But they are no match for Shredder because they keep going one at a time. Why do movies do this? Dogpile him, you dumbasses. What are you doing? Use your turtle shells. Anyway, then Splinter shows up after being rescued by Sid and Casey and finally shows how nunchucks should be used. Thank you. But Shredder falls right into a garbage truck, and then Casey lets the machine go and crushes Shredder to his death. Holy shit, they just straight up kill people in these movies. But he is 100% dead after that. Right? And then the movie ends. Splinter says Cowabunga as he should, and they all live happily ever until the next movie because there's a sequel. It's not over. So let's get to the rankings. So starting off with the Turtles, I feel like this is almost the blueprint of what the Turtles should be like. The characters were all great in this. I do feel like Donnie was a bit underutilized, but his character was still good. The characters are a 5. For the villain, I thought the Shredder was sick. He was the spitting image of Aura. However, his motives were kind of bland and he kind of died like an idiot, so for that he's getting a 4. For the plot, I also thought it was really good, with the hint of it being really fucking dumb. I do like the whole idea of the Foot Clan trying to silence the media and that leading to fighting the Turtles, but I still don't quite get the stealing of random shit to build the underground Dave and Buster's, so for that the plot gets a 4. For Ninja-ing, it wasn't bad. Now granted, they didn't always work in the shadows, but when they did, it was pretty good. They did get snuck up on once though, so for that I do have to bring it down to a 4, but it was still good. And then lastly, the pizza. Overall, a fairly good amount of pizza. Not a lot, at least in comparison to some of the other movies that we're gonna watch, but still solid, so I will give it a 3. Which leads this movie to having 20 out of 25 points, or 4 stars. A really good start for the rankings. Let's move on to the next one.
I like turtles.
So the second movie is a direct sequel to the first, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Secret of the Ooze. And it begins with just the most amount of pizza. Good lord, that looks good. Thank you for showing me that. But we begin with a new character named Kino who works at the pizza place. Then this happens.
Which one of you lucky girls gets a ride with me tonight?
Dream on, dweeb.
Well, when I do, I'll dream of something a little thinner.
Okay, if this is considered fat in the 90s, holy shit, we are so cooked as a society today. But he notices boxes and gets really concerned about said boxes, only to see that there are dozens of men trying to steal toys. For some reason. I also find it really funny that they're wearing these masks but then immediately take them off to talk. So like, what's the point of the masks? But we find out that Kino can fight. Ooh. But he loses pretty fast until the Turtles come to save the day. And then there's a whole fight scene which is honestly pretty dumb, but I can't lie, I enjoy it every time I see it. Then we get introduced to newly recast April O'Neil by this guy who's going to have some serious marital problems after this conversation. And then we learn that the Turtles have been staying with April, who doesn't seem annoyed by that whatsoever. But Splinter says they gotta move out soon. Then in a shocking twist, Shredder is alive and survives the first movie. He comes back to the new Foot Clan base and tries aura farming once more, again taking after Darth Vader with his breathing. Then we see April interviewing a doctor from TGRI about cleaning up their scientific experiments, which Splinter takes a great interest in for some reason. Then we see some overgrown dandelions that look more like my art project from the 2nd grade, but a Foot Clan soldier finds them and reports to Shredder, who comes up with a plan to use them to his advantage. Somehow. Then Splinter lets the Turtles in on a secret about their backstory, after Mikey calls out Karate Kid. Very nice. But he says that the ooze that changed them came from a canister from TGRI, which by the way, in almost every other movie they call it TCRI. I don't really know why, and I don't have enough interest to look up the difference, so if there is one, please comment that down below. But they want more answers, so they sneak into TGRI, only to find that all of the ooze is gone, except for one canister which the Foot Clan already took. Then another sick, but also goofy fight, breaks out, and the Foot manages to escape with the ooze and the doctor. So the Turtles decide to move out, knowing the Foot Clan is back and actively looking for them. Then Kino shows up and finds the Turtles after they hide like dumbasses. Not very ninja of them. And he gets the inside scoop about the Turtles. He then tells them that he knows how to get in with the Foot Clan, which Splinter says is too dangerous. Raph, on the other hand, likes the idea. But before that, we discover more of Shredder's plan, which is to mutate other animals to help him defeat the Turtles. The Turtles also find their new home, which is an underground subway station. And it's sick as fuck, I can't even lie. Minus the spiderwebs. Not a fan of that. But then we see the monsters that Shredder created, Taka and Razor, who look like my ex-girlfriends. That's a lie, actually. My exes are all very beautiful and they're all in happy, committed relationships while I'm still single as fuck, so I can't say shit. But also, they said that these are the most dangerous creatures they could find. Really? Now granted, a wolf and a snapping turtle is no joke. Like, have you seen how fast a snapping turtle is? Them things are scary as shit. That said, you couldn't have found a bear or a mountain lion or something. I feel like there were better options. Either way, that's not the only problem with them. The other is that they're dumb as rocks. And then Shredder says his best line ever.
Babies! They're babies!
Then Kino, with the help of Raph, sneaks into the Foot Clan's lair, doing a cool bell challenge on the way. There, Raph sees the Shredder is alive and gets taken by the Foot. So Donnie, Mikey, and Leo go to rescue him, which leads to them getting trapped as well. You know, their ninja eating skills is definitely struggling in this one.
I never got to see Paris!
So stupid. Then Splinter saves the day and another fight breaks out.
Can we talk?
Okay, I can't even help it. Mikey's on point this movie. But then they meet Taka and Razor and lose immediately. Side note, I love that Donnie treats his bow staff like a pool cue. Anyway, they roll out like the Autobots, but not without rescuing Raph, as well as the TGRI Doctor Guy. Then Dr. Guy explains the entire plot of the movie.
You see,
15 years ago, you came into contact with a green colloidal gel down in a sewer which transforms you into your present state. Fantastic.
Then they try to get more answers out of him, only to get nothing and find out that them getting hit with the ooze was simply a mistake. It's like finding out you were adopted, or like this, a mistake. But Shredder decides to let Taka and Razor loose on the city in order to snuff out the turtles. But with the help of the TGRI guy, they come up with a plan to reverse the mutations of the ooze with donuts. I don't know, man, it'd work with me. Then we get a weird error, or at least I think it's an error, where Shredder shows them the ooze canister that's completely full. So how he mutated Taka and Razor makes no sense to me. That canister should be at least somewhat depleted, right? Did I miss something? Anyway, the donuts don't work and we end up being thrown right into a nightclub. Literally, where we get quite possibly the greatest scene of any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie.
Yo! It's the Green Machine, gonna rock the town without being seen. Have you ever seen a turtle get down?
I don't care what anyone says, this song is a banger, this scene is a banger, and regardless of what I rank this movie, this scene makes it a 10 out of 10.
Go ninja, go ninja, go! Go ninja, go ninja, go!
Anyway, they managed to beat Taka and Razor with fire extinguishers, defeat Grunting Man with the move they should have used on Shredder in the first movie, and then Shredder shows up and takes a woman hostage. Out of nowhere, Kino also shows up, does some spins and shit, and manages to accomplish nothing really. And then Shredder pulls out another tiny vial of ooze. Where is all this ooze coming from? Anyway, Mikey, Marty McFly Shredder out of the club via speakers. And then they face off against Super Shredder, who decided to drink the entire vial of ooze. Side note, I do like how the ooze can make you big and strong while also upgrading your armor and clothing. If only the Hulk had that power. But Kevin Nash gets too angry and causes the entire dock to collapse, destroying himself in the process. Honestly, I feel like he would have survived this since he survived the garbage truck, but whatever. However, luckily, since the turtles are turtles, they manage to swim to safety and win the day. Then it ends with Splinter getting mad at them for exposing themselves even more, and the movie goes to credits. So starting off with the characters, they were just as good as the first one, if not better. Mikey was on point with the jokes, and I loved how they utilized Donnie in this one a lot more, so 5 points there. For the villains, Shredder was still good and hellbent on revenge, but it honestly didn't do it for me as much in this one, so I'll give him a 3. For the plot, I thought it was solid. I really liked the backstory with the ooze aspect, but the Taka and Razor stuff was just okay for me, so I'll give it a 3 as well. Still enjoyed it though. This movie will lose quite a few points here though, because there wasn't a lot of ninja-ing. They were terrible at being ninjas in this, except for Raph in the bell scene. That was cool. So unfortunately, I have to give this star a 2. And then lastly, pizza. They started off the movie really well with the pizza and had multiple other scenes with it. So for that, this movie gets a 4 on the pizza, which leaves this movie with a grand total of 17 out of 25 points or 3.4 stars. Honestly, it would have been just as good as the first one if they were better ninjas. On to the next one.
I like turtles.
Now we have the sequel, which I think most people probably wish never existed. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 from 1993. This is the third and final installment of the trilogy from the 90s. And oh boy is it bad. There's no other way to say it. First, we start off with a sick shot of early 17th century Japan for no reason. Just kidding, there is actually a reason in this movie, where we see a dude getting chased by other dudes, only to be captured by said dudes. Then we go back to the present day where we see the turtles hanging out, looking weirder than I remember. Gonna be honest, maybe it's just me, but I really don't like the redesign. I don't know, maybe it's the eyes or the teeth or the spots in their head, but I prefer how they looked in the first 2 movies. That's just me. Also, the turtles all sound like they need to clear their throats in this movie. movie.
Turtle tantrum. Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Anyway, April shows up in her Grease cosplay and gives the turtles all a bunch of gifts, including this lamp torch thingy that when used can transport people from now to early 17th century Japan. Told you there was a reason for the intro. Then we see the dude from the forest taking back home to find out his dad is the leader of this castle and is currently at war with a bunch of rebels. Discount Lucius Malfoy shows up and says some shit. Him and leader guy have a whole Shogun-ass plot with a topic of guns. Then Kenshin discovers the scepter himself and accidentally switches places with April in the present day, switching clothes as well. This is where the plot hole begins. They do switch clothes, and yet the Walkman goes with April. Why? I don't know, you tell me. Also, right before this, Kenshin notices an ancient drawing of the turtles, which makes literally no sense in the context of this movie. Not once do we see the turtles go back in time before this, and based on the second movie, they are more of a science experiment, not an ancient supernatural entity. So why they have old drawings of the turtles? I got no clue. But the guards capture April, Walker does this for some reason. And then the turtles learn how the scepter works and plan to go back in time to save April. Then Casey shows up after being nowhere to be found in the last movie and is told to watch over whoever takes the place of the turtles when they go back in time. We then see two more plot holes begin that I'll just wait till the end to explain. But just know this, Mikey wears these swim trunks so that the guy who he switches with isn't naked when he gets there. Also, they all grab the scepter at the same time but end up on 4 different horses when they end up in Japan. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, Mikey gets lost and then knocked out and taken by hot rebel chick lady, but someone else takes the scepter. The turtles then sneak into the prison to rescue April by giving this guy a wet willy, while this guy shows as much skill as I have from taking Taekwondo for like 7 years growing up, aka not much skill. Also, Casey's there, but he isn't Casey, he's just some guy. But they all escape through the sewer. They are still turtles after all.
Mud wrestling is definitely a spectator sport.
Anyway, they fight off some random dudes, only for Hot Rebel Chick to realize that they're just like Mikey and that they're all friends. Yay! Then on the way back to the village, they see it's being attacked by Discount Lucius Malfoy. So they go to save the day. Walker sees the turtles for the first time, this guy gets wet willied again, and then Mikey goes inside a burning building to save this little kid, Yoshi, W. Mikey, and then is further saved by Leo, who does some terrible compressions. I know Dr. Mike would not be a fan of that. Then they get used to the village, learning to ride horseback and trying to figure out what to do without the scepter. Walker and the daimyo create more plot holes talking about the ancient turtle demons, which makes no sense, and then the turtles come up with a plan to remake the scepter. Because that makes sense. Then 17th century Casey tries to flirt with April, while modern day Casey hooks the soldiers onto hockey, which I'm sure won't change history in the long run. Mikey also tries making pizza, Raph gets close to the Yoshi kid, which honestly is the best part of the movie, side note. Then Mikey tries to get with Hot Rebel Chick, but learns that her and Kenshin kind of have a thing. And then we learn that Yoshi has had the scepter this whole time, keeping it from the turtles because they wanted them to stay and help them win the war. It was actually Yoshi's grandfather who wanted them to stay. Also, my ass at 9 years old always thought that Yoshi was going to grow up and be Splinter's master who Shredder kills, not realizing there's a 400-year difference. My 9-year-old mind was built different. Then 17th century Casey betrays the turtles and takes Mitsu and the scepter back to the daimyo, but actually giving the scepter to Walker, not the daimyo. I hope I'm saying all these words right. Then the turtles sneak back into the prison once again, doing the most crazy accurate cat impression, and rescuing Mitsu. Another fight breaks out with Raph doing some cool shit, Donnie also doing some cool shit, and letting all the other prisoners escape to have a full-on battle. Leo then goes up against the daimyo and mad disrespects him by beating him and cutting off his hair. Then the elevator from Despicable Me falls on his head and Walker shows up with his men. They go to kill the turtles, but Leo gets too close to the screen like it's a 3D movie and says, "Do it yourself, pussy." Okay, he doesn't actually say that, but he basically does. So Walker uses a cannon, but luckily the turtles creepily duck into their shells. So then Walker tries to run and the turtles go after him running on squishy rooftops.
This is so good for your calves. Yeah.
Then he throws the scepter, they manage to catch it, old Casey turns good again and sends a fireball after him, and Walker falls just like Palpatine into the water where it doesn't even splash.
Bungee jumping without a bungee. That could be dangerous.
Yeah, got that.
Then Mikey becomes an annoying little bitch and says he wants to stay behind due to him being down bad for Mitsu, and thus doesn't make it home with his brothers and April. But then he shows up later and he's all good. But the plot hole does thicken. First of all, when they showed up in Japan the first time, they were all on horseback separately. So unless the honor guards were all holding on to the scepter together while on horseback, you shouldn't need to be holding the scepter. Meaning, Mikey should have been able to come back with them the first time even though he wasn't directly holding it. Secondly, the whole thing about the swim trunks was so the person wouldn't be naked since they switched clothes. So why did the honor guard have the trunks back in Japan? That makes no sense and breaks the whole rule of the scepter. I am so tired. Anyway, it's all good. Everyone lives happily ever after. Let's get to the ranking. So starting off with the turtles, they were fine. Honestly, I didn't care for them as much in this movie, but they weren't bad either, so I'll give them a 3. For the villain, he was lame as shit, I'm sorry. Walker was a bit better, but still not great either. He was kind of just this annoying ass full of himself guy. Well, the daimyo just wanted his son back, but did very little to actually get him back. The villain gets a 2. The plot is also a 2. To be fair, I liked the creativity of it all. It's very different from the first 2 movies, but it was just so random and also made no sense with all of the plot holes. I did like the idea of it though, and I like the storyline with Raph and Yoshi, so it gets a 2. For Ninja-ing, I'll give it a 3. They do go in disguise at times and did sneak into a few places, but it wasn't great either, so it gets a 3. And then lastly, pizza. There was literally only that one scene of pizza and a brief mention of pizza in another scene, so it also gets a 2. Which brings this movie to a total of 12 out of 25 points or 2.4 stars. Not a great score, but honestly, still a fun movie if you don't think about it too hard. Moving on to our 4th movie.
I like turtles.
The next movie on our list is our first animated one, which is TMNT from 2007. And this one is a strong contender, let me tell you. It starts off with a Batman, Daredevil, Spider-Man swinging scene narrated by the legendary Lawrence Fishburne, basically catching us up to speed. They're genetically modified, they defeated the Shredder, they got shells, etc. But then it goes back in time showing the villains of this movie, Yaddle and his brothers and sister. Now this might seem hypocritical, since I don't have a problem with this movie showcasing villains from the past movie like I did with the 3rd movie, but there's one main reason for this. Aura. These guys fight badass and they look badass. What can I say? But basically there's this portal thing that can only be activated every 3,000 years conveniently, and Yaddle turned it on, accidentally Medusas his family, and lets out lucky number 13 monsters onto the world to wreak havoc. Also, he's immortal. Then we get to Central America for some reason, where villain does villain things, like eating an apple, only to be stopped by Leonardo, who straight up murders him. Yeah, I think he's dead. Anyway, then April finds Leo, because she just happens to be out there as well, and learns that Leo was out here to train and become a leader. because that makes sense. You definitely become a leader by being in a place where there's no one to lead. Anyway, Obi-Wan asks how everyone is, and Daphne says that Donnie does tech support. That sounds a lot like when I impressed my grandma by switching the HDMI input from 1 to 2. Mikey is also getting physically abused by children, and Raph is cosplaying as Batman a little too seriously. But Leo refuses to go back with April and leaves her in a cave in which she can never escape. Then Mikey does some sick tricks in the sewer and then gets depressed at the housing market, which is the most relatable thing in any of these movies. Please subscribe and be sure to like the video to help me pay my rent. And we find out that no one knows that Raph is the discount Batman Night Watcher. Then we meet Splinter, who's a complete badass in this movie. 10 out of 10 lines, best looking Splinter in my opinion, and voiced by the legendary Mako, which by the way, this movie is actually the last movie he voice acted in. Absolute legend, may he rest in peace. Also, I hope I said his name right. Anyway, April's delivering the stone statue to this billionaire named Mr. Winters, who totally does not give off evil vibes. Also, Casey's there, and he pulls a Kung Fu Panda. But the statues is one of the brothers turned to stone 3,000 years ago. I wonder why Patrick Stewart wants it. Also, I know I've been making some jokes, but holy stacked cast, like my god. Anyways, Winters hires the Foot Clan, led by hot Foot Clan leader chick, to hunt down the 13 monsters that were released. Then we find out that Casey knows that Raph is the Night Watcher, and they have a heart-to-heart about Raph and Leo not getting along, but still being brothers, which is honestly probably the best depiction of Raph I think I've seen so far. Then Winters brings the Stone Generals to life. Kinda. And Leo shows up home with one of the most badass songs to accompany that scene, W Aura. Him and Splinter then have a good heart-to-heart, him and Raph have an awkward reunion, and then Splinter says they can't fight crime until they learn to work together. Then in the next scene, they fight crime without learning to work together. They find the foot fighting one of the monsters. Leo says a good pun.
I think we're getting off on the wrong foot here.
Then they escape because they can't defeat the monster, and the stone dudes come in clutch. Aura. Oh my goodness, the aura. Then we finally see some pizza. Mikey says this.
Then that hideous monster.
Yeah, it looked like your mom, dude.
Yeah, that would make her your mom too, doofus.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm like 50-50 on Mikey's joke so far. But Leo and Raph get mad at each other. Splinter gets ready to watch more soap operas before he finds out they went fighting. Then we see a whole montage of the Foot Clan and the statues finding and fighting all of my ex-girlfriends. Once again, I can't really make that joke. Then Casey and Raph go looking for the foot. Casey says the realest thing in this movie.
You do know I only have a wooden bat, don't you?
Then they run into the statue dudes, and Raph gets injured, so they take him back to April's place where the turtles show up.
Nice pad, kids. Oh, hey, Raph.
Okay, Mikey's good. But after some debrief, April just happens to know the exact legend of Yaddle, and we learn that Yaddle is none other than Mr. Winters. What?
This has Winter's name written all over it.
How do you figure that, Donnie?
Because this has Winter's name written all over it.
Anyway, then there's some disagreements between Winters and his generals because if they break the curse, they lose their immortality. So the statue dude is less sure of Winters' intentions. So he plans to betray him by not finding the final monster. Speaking of which, Raph finds the final monster, only to be noticed by Leo, who looks like he literally set up a spotlight and fan to achieve this level of aura. But they do a chase scene only to fight hand to hand until it is revealed to Leo that it is indeed Raph he's fighting. And then we get probably the single greatest scene in any of these movies. Great dialogue, great setting, great animation, great voice acting, just an incredible display of filmmaking all around. I am being 100% genuine right here. This whole scene is fantastic. But right after, Leo gets captured by the statues because they're going to use Leo as the final monster to ensure the curse isn't broken. Raph tells Splinter, who gives Raph a very heartfelt speech, and then the turtles band together to go save their brother. April then gets a new outfit, which, by the way, she was also a complete badass in this movie. Then Winters finds out that Captain Gantu betrayed him. There's a sick one-shot fight sequence in the courtyard, and then they rescue Leo where Raph and Leo settle their differences. Then Mikey says this.
Winters.
Looks more like fall, get it?
Mikey, remember our talk.
Then we learn that Winters is kind of a good guy who wants to right his wrongs. Nice. But his brothers don't, and his sister, who should have had more lines because she's scary as shit. The Foot decides to help the turtles though, since they work for Winters, and they go find the last monster while the turtles fight the Statue Bros. Crazy that all the monsters are just in New York. Leo then does a sick Optimus Prime from that one movie, and then ruins it by saying this.
Come to daddy. Sensei, are you all right?
We must do this more often. I still got it.
Legend. Anyway, Hot Foot Clan chick sees April and Casey's relationship problems firsthand, but they manage to bring back the monster just in time and defeating the Statue Bros for good. Then Winters thanks them and Thanos' himself. Somehow. I don't know how he timed that so well, but that was cool, I guess. And then Splinter puts his helmet on this shelf in which we see the scepter from the third movie. I don't care if you hated the movie or not, it is now forever canon in this universe. But it all ends happily ever after. So now at the rankings, starting with the Turtle Star, I may be a bit controversial here for one main reason. This movie by far had the best depictions of Raph and Leo in any of these movies, which would give them a 5. But I didn't love Donnie and Mikey. Mikey was about 50-50 on the jokes for me, and Donnie was a bit more of an annoying, almost depressed nerd rather than a lovable nerd. So for that, I'm giving it a 4. For the villain, I thought he was great. Great motive, great morals at the end, pretty cool overall. He is getting a 5. For plot, I'm going to give it a very solid 4. I think this is one of the better stories in these movies, had a lot of tension, character growth, and the plot actually made sense for what it is. There were just a few things that were a bit meh, like the whole Central America Leo story, or the statues being sort of one-dimensional characters. So, a 4, which is still really fucking good. For Ninja, I'm also going to give it a 4. There were definitely moments of not ninja-ing, but there were a shit ton of times where our boys were in the shadows, sneaking around and fighting at night. So it gets a 4. And then unfortunately, to kind of humble the other stars, there just wasn't a lot of pizza in this. Unfortunately, I have to give the pizza star a 1, which sucks because this movie really is top tier, which means this movie gets a grand total of 18 out of 25 points or 3.6 stars. Might have won if it weren't for the lack of pizza. That said, I do want to remind you all that there are still 3 bonus stars that could change the outcome at the end of this video. So while the original is still technically winning, that doesn't mean it will take the crown. On to the next movie.
I like turtles.
So the next movie is one I almost didn't know existed, Turtles Forever from 2009. Also the first 2D animated movie. This one's quite a bit different from the rest, mainly because it feels like a straight movie version of one of the TMNT shows, which I'm not really covering in this video. That said, in this movie we start off with Splinter watching his soap operas, which I think is actually a pretty fun character trait by him, but he sees that the turtles failed at being ninjas by being seen on TV. However, they push back saying they never left their home. So they go on a mission against the Purple Dragon only to find out that there are 4 identical Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in their city. Yep, we have reached the multiverse of the Turtles movies. People think the multiverse was only getting popular in the last 10 years or so. No, they were doing this shit in 2009. But these turtles are from the original cartoon, so they have a simpler design and are just more positive than the main turtles. It's like hanging out with your overly positive friend who you just want to slap for being too positive all the damn time. But the turtles meet and get shell-shocked. Get it? Because they have shells? I'm a 25-year-old adult. Anyway, I learned a new phrase the turtles say, which is, what the shell? And we find out that these turtles were battling their own shredder when an explosion happened and they ended up in this new dimension, along with their shredder. So all 8 turtles go after the shredder, where the shredder realizes that this world must also have a shredder, so he goes on a mission to find him and work with him. Also, Krang is there, as well as Bebop and Rocksteady, who I think are other fairly popular TMNT villains. But they find the shredder, who looks like this red Krang-looking dude. His daughter tries rescuing him. Honestly, I'm not sure. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that would make more sense if I watched the show, I imagine. So you guys can fill in the blanks for me in the comments. But the Purple Dragon gets this mutation and starts working for the main Shredder, who takes over from the OG Shredder. He then sends the Purple Dragon to the Turtles' home, where Donnie and Donnie argue about making the portal gun, because in the original cartoon you could make the gun with 2 nails and a sock, but in this dimension that doesn't work. Raph then says this:
Mutant turtle filth!
It's not true. We shower regularly.
And then an explosion happens again, where the turtles get sent back to the other dimension, the original cartoon one. Here they do a funny bit where they have to save April, because apparently in every episode of the original show, that's what they did. Also, there's a banana monster and a pizza monster. There just is. Then they meet OG Splinter, who gives them not pizza. Kind of weird. Oh, never mind. There's some. And then they build the portal to go back home and stop the Shredder while saving Splinter. Unfortunately, they get captured and we learn Shredder's true plan, which is to find the original dimension where the turtles were first introduced to defeat them once and for all, which I guess makes sense. This scene is sick though, because it shows off all of the different depictions of the turtles over the years, including the 1990s live action movies and the movie from 2007, which is a really cool and nice touch. I now see where Across the Spider-Verse must have gotten their inspiration from. So Shredder goes to that dimension, but first trying to kill the current 8 turtles, only for his daughter to stop him. Then the turtles follow Shredder to that dimension after seeing their own start to disappear. There we meet the true OG turtles, who are the most badass of them all. Literally film noir Batman-like turtles. It's sick. But they all team up and fight the Shredder. Even some of the other villains go up against him, since his doings will destroy every world. And then he gets destroyed by his own laser. The turtles shake hands and go off their separate ways, and the movie ends. So I know I kind of sped through this one, but I do feel like it's not the movie everyone would know or talk about too much, or put super high on their ranking. That said, this movie was pretty good. For the characters, it's a little hard to rank since there were so many versions of them, but overall, I liked them all. I will say, I feel like Raph was the jokester of this one over Mikey, which was a bit weird, so I'm gonna give the characters a 4. For the villain, it was a very cartoony villain, but it made perfect sense in the cartoon animated film. He was badass at times, and I liked his plans somewhat, so I'll give him a 3. For the plot, I actually really enjoyed it. I think the going after the OG turtles to stop the other turtles from being doesn't make any sense, which is where this film loses points, but I did really enjoy the blend of the different turtles working together. The multiverse aspect of it was really cool, so I'll still give the plot a respectable 3. For the ninja-ing, there wasn't a lot, I'll be honest. The main turtles had some, the OGs had none at all, but the black and white OGs had a shit ton. Kind of a hard one, but I'm just gonna have to give it a 2. And then for pizza, there is some pizza throughout, but not a lot. They mention getting a slice, they do go to a pizza place once, there's pizza here, so I'll give it a 3. Which brings this movie to a total of 15 out of 25 points, or 3 stars. Not the best score ever, but still an enjoyable watch.
I like turtles.
Moving on to the Michael Bay live-action movies, starting with the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, technically, these are only produced by Michael Bay, not directed by him, but you can definitely see his influence. Starting with Megan Fox as April O'Neil, who is clearly writing something down in this shot. She's a journalist trying to uncover secrets about the Foot Clan, though no one believes in her, including this guy named Vern, who I hate. So of course, she's resorted to covering this instead.
So we're gonna squat down and flap your wings. Right over there, full extension.
Like what are we doing here? What is this? Also, she tries talking to this guy again and he's like, how do you get this number? But they're talking over fucking Skype. Like what? Anyway, she sees the first fight of Batman Begins take place where she tries to get footage of what happens, but her phone blaringly tells her it's too dark because that's how phones worked in 2014. She tries explaining this all to her roommate who goes,
What?
thank you for saying what we were all thinking, Sugar from the Bear. But she tells her agency about it, including Whoopi Goldberg, who's there for some reason, and once again, no one believes her. Then we get introduced to this guy who has never, ever been evil in any movie or show he's ever been in. And we also get introduced to Shredder, who despite my hatred for this movie, I can't deny his voice is sick as fuck.
I don't believe in fairy tales.
But he says they need to draw out the turtles, who they don't know are turtles yet, so they take people hostage, including April, who makes herself a prisoner. The turtles then fight the Foot Clan, who in this movie are just mercenary dudes and not even ninjas. Then they brutally kill this woman. I mean, she's dead. You can't tell me otherwise. And then April follows them to the rooftop where she takes a picture. The turtles were doing so well as ninjas until this point. Then Reacher, I mean Raph, does his Batman voice. Literally.
Give me the camera. Oh, look. He's doing his Batman voice.
And then Mikey says a line that truly begins my hatred for this movie.
Oh, she's so hot I can feel my shell tightening.
Like, what is that? I know Mikey is always down bad for April in these movies, but what is that line? That's just the beginning of creepy ass things he says in this movie. By the way, quick plug, if you wanted to see my reactions to all these movies, I have the full unedited reactions to them on my Patreon, which you can go check out if you want. Link in the description. My reaction to this movie was pretty interesting to say the least. Anyway, after 20 fucking minutes, we finally see the turtles, which I gotta say, are ugly as fuck. Holy shit. I actually think the CGI itself is well done, but my god, get this shit off my screen. Anyway, she learns what they are and says this.
Here. Ninja, mutant, turtle, teenagers.
Can't you see how hard I'm laughing right now? But then we get the weirdest plot twist of the movie. They let her go and she finds an old camcorder where we learn that she knows the turtles from when she was a kid. Apparently her dad worked for this guy who certainly isn't evil and helped them escape after a fire that killed her dad.
I've known them since I was a little girl. They were my pets. They were my childhood pets, and they were named after Italian Renaissance painters.
Mom, I want to move back home.
Honestly, she is the most relatable character in this movie.
If it wasn't already obvious with that girl. Dibs.
Mikey, I hate you. Then they get caught by Splinter from my nightmares, and they get forced to do this balanced meditation thing, which I actually did enjoy this scene slightly. They even had pizza in this scene. 10 out of 10. April then tries to explain to Whoopi Goldberg about the giant 6-foot turtles using a discount version of red string and a corkboard, and Whoopi does the bare minimum acting to earn her paycheck. So with the help of Vern, she goes to talk to Totally Not Evil Man. Also, we here hate Vern. Every line he says is dumb and borderline sexist.
Nothing better than dropping off a pretty girl at a rich guy's house.
Anyway, Evil Guy gives an evil speech that isn't meant to be evil, but absolutely is, and she tells him about the turtles. Then the turtles find April and are honestly kind of rude to her and take her to see Splinter. Splinter gives her the Harry Potter line,
"You always did have your father's eyes,"
and then tells her the backstory of the turtles and how she saved them. Also, side note, Evil Guy is in fact evil. Whoa, no way, I did not see that coming. But we see even more disturbing shots of the turtles as kids, which again is ugly as fuck. Please burn away my corneas. Then there's more pizza, and then we see honestly the sickest Shredder suit. I can't lie, that might be the coolest looking one. Then Splinter tells April that Sax is evil and works for the Shredder, and was even raised by him. How he knows this? I couldn't tell you. Then the Foot Clan attacks, Splinter fights like a badass, and Mikey does this.
Come with me. I got a safe place for you to hide, and if you get thirsty, I got a secret stash of Orange Crush behind the fridge.
Then Shredder shows up, and I take back everything I said about the suit. The double arms and back look stupid. Also, stop monologuing and just get on with it. Anyway, he gets on with it and beats up Splinter, manages to capture Leo, Mikey, and Donnie, while April somehow remains unscathed even after the place came crashing down. Then Evil Guy sponsors Under Armour because you gotta pay for this lab somehow. Then April and Raph get ready to fight back, but first they need a car. So who do they call? Vern.
Alright, let me meet you right now. I'll play your little game.
I hate you.
What's with the hat?
What is with the... I don't know, it's a buddy of mine, it's just a goof.
Then Classic Villain reveals Classic Villain plan, which is chemical warfare, but has the vaccine to save everyone so he can get more money, blah, blah, blah. Who even cares?
I thought about not becoming a ninja, but I was doing a bunch of yoga for like 10 days at one point, and I pulled a hamstring.
Shut up, Vern. Then Raph breaks in, goes against the Shredder. April gives the turtles adrenaline to make up for the blood loss, which I guess makes sense, and they act like that scene from Alvin and the Chipmunks after they drink coffee for the first time. Donnie then does this.
Oh my gosh, they have guns!
So they finally use their shells effectively for once, and then we have the most drawn out snowy car chase scene I've ever seen. This shit is like 15 minutes long.
Oh, Neil, what are you doing? Yeah, that's good. Make sure you're getting everything.
Then finally they make it to the city where Shredder is trying to unleash the stuff. The mutagen. I don't fucking know. Then we have the elevator scene, which was actually funny until they started singing. Then it became dumb. Then Mikey says Cowabunga at the worst time, and the turtles get their asses kicked by Shredder because they keep going one at a time. Guys, fucking dogpile him. How many times do I have to fucking say it? But April and Vern manage to thwart Evil Dude and get the mutagen. I am still struggling to say thwart. The turtles work together to stop Shredder, and Raph puts a toothpick in his mouth trying to get aura points, which I'm not gonna give him. And then Shredder comes back. Then April's there with the vial. Then they fall. Things break. Explosions. Wow. Then Leo throws a sword that leads the Shredder to his death.
That's my girl.
I hope you die. But it all works out in the end. The turtles thank April for not revealing their secret. They accidentally blow up Vern's new car, which I very much enjoy. Mikey tries to serenade April one last time, which I very much do not enjoy. And the movie ends. But not without this scene.
Together ain't no way we gon' fail. You know I got your back just like a turtle shell. No.
So starting off with the turtles, I hate them. I'm sorry, I did not like them in this movie. The best was Raph, but even he didn't have much going for me. Mikey, I hated with a passion. The turtles get a 1 in this movie. As far as the villain goes, he was kinda cool, fairly one-dimensional I would say, but he looked badass at times, and he fought pretty well overall, so I'll give him a 3. The plot was kinda dumb and generic. It was all about chemical warfare and using the turtles' blood to do so. The April saving the turtles backstory was extremely convenient. Overall, I'll give it a 2. The ninja-ing was fine in this. It wasn't the greatest ever, but it wasn't bad either, so I'll give it a 3. And then for pizza, there was really only 2 times where they showed pizza, during the meditation punishment thingy and then the backstory. So for that, I'm giving the pizza star a 2, which leaves this movie with a grand total of 11 out of 25 points or 2.2 stars. Easily the worst one we've seen so far without question. Let's move on to its sequel. By the way, I've been recording this so long that one of my lights ran out of battery, so hopefully my green screen doesn't look any worse from here on out. Please subscribe.
I like turtles.
Now, I'll actually admit here, the sequel is miles better than the first one. I genuinely enjoy this movie. I'll admit it. But saying it's better than the first movie is still not saying much. This movie is not good. It begins with the turtles making their way to a basketball game with some pizza. Nice to start off this movie with the actual turtles and pizza. Then it name cards us as if this wasn't a sequel movie. What, you think I have the memory of a goldfish? I remember who these guys are. Then we find out that fucking Vernon took credit for taking down the Shredder in the first movie upon the turtles' request and calls himself the Falcon. Wow, dude. Whitewashing another superhero? What's next? Ryan Gosling as Black Panther? How many times have you degenerates seen that meme? Also, I think he did research on the wrong superhero.
Thunder and lightning! Yeah!
Then we get to the main reason why this movie is superior to the first one. And no, it's not Tyler Perry. Also, why the fuck is Tyler Perry in this? But April is trying to gather some information for some reason and then follows this guy, only to do this. Yeah, this movie's not that bad. Real talk, the over-sexualization of Megan Fox in Michael Bay movies is absolutely insane. But what's even more insane is how did she go from pants, or whatever these stockings are, to this? There's no way that that was a change she could make on the go. Maybe she rolled them down, but I don't see any rolls here. Unrealistic movie is unrealistic. Also, she stole clothes and should go to prison. Anyway, back to the turtles, there's definitely some tension in them wanting to be accepted into the real world. Especially Mikey, who, holy shit, it's Bumblebee! Same universe, confirmed. Anyway, the turtles find out from April that someone is planning on breaking out much less intimidating recast Shredder, who's being transferred by none other than Green Arrow, or Casey Jones. Anyway, Casey says some dumb shit, and then we meet some people, Bebop and Rocksteady, the most normal looking people. Then a bunch of the Foot comes to rescue Shredder in motorcycles, as well as what I like to call the Virgin Mobile. Then Oliver gets mad that there's an unloaded shotgun and not a bow and arrow to defend himself. And then the turtles show up and it becomes Transformers, but with the turtles and nunchucks. Also, once again, a movie where I don't understand how nunchucks work. Then Shredder escapes the van and does this.
Where'd he go?
Oh, this movie's so trash. Where'd he go? Dude, your arch nemesis just escaped. Be a little more concerned. But Shredder gets teleported to ugly live-action Krang, in which Shredder is not at all fazed by the monstrosity that he's seen. Then Krang convinces Shredder to watch Everybody Loves Raymond and take over the world, and Shredder's interested in that, apparently. And that's that. Then Love Actually Chick, probably from something bigger, but for now I'll call her Love Actually Chick, asks Casey about the attack, in which he tries to teach her Frisbee, but she doesn't want to play. Then we see older Ron Weasley and purple-haired dude talking to Shredder, in which I'm glad the Foot Clan actually look like ninjas in this movie. Later, Casey finds the bar, asks the guy about insurance, and locates the two prisoners, who happen to go with Shredder, where they find Tyler Perry, who does this. And they make some sort of super serum, a serum that turns Bebop and Rocksteady into a Rhino and Warthog for some reason. But somehow, April snuck in by walking through the front door, managed to steal the purple ooze, and escape no problem. At least until there's a problem. Then Casey plays hockey and uses the Foot Clan as the goals until eventually the turtles show up.
We were sent by the Supreme Leader to eat delicious humans. I'm just kidding. I'm a vegan, except for meat and cheese and eggs.
So like most vegans then. Then they do another introduction to the turtles. Like seriously, does this movie think I have short-term memory loss? Do they think I'm Dory? Then they lead Casey to their home, let Splinter beat him up, and then he figures out that it was them trying to stop the Shredder. Then we learn that the purple ooze might be able to actually turn the turtles into humans, which, jokes aside, is actually a really interesting plot. It's interesting to see the turtles deal with that from a moral standpoint. I actually really like this concept. But Leo decides to not tell anyone, even though Mikey overhears and tells Raph immediately. Then Raph and Leo fight like Raph and Leo do. I'm glad this movie is at least trying to have some of the core characteristics of the turtles. Then Leo and Donnie do some shit. Mikey eats pizza, Casey tries to shit talk, and then Mikey and Raph break into the police station to get more ooze.
Cowabunga.
Yeah, this movie's still shit. Then the Foot attacks, because convenient timing is always convenient in this movie. Of course, everyone is trying to sneak into the station at the same time. But the turtles all come together to help the police, only to finally be seen by them. Not very ninja of them. But a part I like about the scene actually is how scared they were of the turtles, and how the turtles, like Mikey, are affected by that. It's a good character moment. Then Splinter talks some sense into Leo. Mikey says this.
Whoa, they've achieved the power of flight. Good for them, you know?
They're on a plane, Mikey.
Huh.
At least he's not being creepy towards April in this one. Then the turtles go to Brazil to stop my ex-girlfriends from getting the last part of the Krang portal thingy. Also, I said I would stop making those jokes, but I guess I just want more dislikes on this video for some reason. But they end up having to skydive to catch up to the plane, in which they don't use parachutes because they're dumb, but I guess it works out. Then they fight the Rhino Pig dudes, and the plane goes down.
Careful, as some of the items may have shifted during flight.
Then they do that one random barrel scene from The Hobbit into the scene from the best Indiana Jones movie. Back to April and Casey, they try to get a phone call in which they get Vern to help them prove that they're not the bad guys. Also, Vern is selling his heir. Literally, this was before selling bathwater was even a thing. He's insane. Then this happens.
You are the founder. You haven't earned the respect yet to say my name out loud.
based. Honestly, I still hate Vern, but he's growing on me slightly in this movie. Still an idiot though, as he does this whole thing for little to no reason. Then the turtles break up, only to then make up. There's a whole wholesome part of them deciding not to turn into humans. And then Tyler Perry helps the Shredder open up the portal. The turtles then reveal themselves to the police in order for them to help, which I must say, it definitely doesn't help for the ranking in terms of ninja-ing, but I find this concept to be really cool. It's like Spider-Man revealing himself to MJ or Aunt May or something like that. I like it. Then the Shredder betrays Tyler Perry. I am shocked. Then Krang betrays Shredder. Once again, I am shocked. Then the Turtles do some stuff. April, Casey, and Vernon do some stuff. But the Turtles fight Super Meat Boy. Casey gets literally killed only to somehow have enough time to make his very own skates, which, how did he just have the perfect amount of resources to do that? I don't know. But he stops these dudes and then says this.
Rock. Yeah, babes. My man.
This movie still sucks. Then April and Vern somehow stop Foot Clan Chick and close the portal, and Krang hits them with the Terminator sequel line.
I'll be back, turtles.
Then they finally get special awards from the city, which is honestly a great ending. So starting with the Turtles, they're definitely much better than the first movie. We had Donnie being an actual nerd, we had Mikey trying to be funny, which in this movie he really wasn't, but at least he tried, and then Raph and Leo fought. What more can you want? I will give them a 4. For the villain, I did not give a flying fuck about Krang, or the Shredder, or Bebop, or Rocksteady. They were all fine, I guess, but I didn't care enough, so I'll give them a 3. The plot was kind of all over the place with trying to get the parts in order to open a portal for the Krang's weapon, but there's also the Ooze storyline and then the Casey storyline. Some of it I liked, some of it I didn't. I'll give it a 3. For the Ninja Star, they honestly did not do very well at that in this. I will be fair though that a huge storyline here is about not hiding and being true to oneself, so for that, I'll give it a 3. And then pizza, there was some pizza, but not a lot. I think there were only 2 instances in this movie and it wasn't anything crazy. 2 points there. Which leaves this movie with a total of 15 out of 25 points. Not a great score, but definitely still better than the 2014 one. Let's move on to the next movie.
I like turtles.
Before I get into that, I would like to bring up an honorable mention. While I'm not putting it in my ranking video today, shout out to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Power Rangers crossover. Absolute banger, 5 stars all around, fucking do that TikTok letterbox meme thing, pure cinema. Anyway, what we will be talking about is Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We got Batman, man, this is gonna be good. So the movie starts off with a cool DC moon transition, and then the foot sneaking into a building. Now, if you don't know what building, just look at the one with the giant letters on it, and you'll probably be able to figure it out. But Batgirl is there, and before she can even fight back, 4 mysterious creatures save her. I wonder who they could be. So she tells Batman, played by Troy Baker, who sounds awesome in this, go you, Joel, and he tries tracking down the Turtles. Spoiler, by the way, it was the Turtles. Spider-Man shout out. But both the Turtles and Batman hear about a break-in at Wayne Enterprises, so they make their way there.
The boss gave him the night off. Me? I always work late.
Aura. The Turtles then fight the Penguin and his umbrella henchman. Donnie says this.
We're not aliens though, we're turtles.
Not the time, Donnie. It's always the time for accuracy, Leo.
Yep, which is why I always do my research for these videos. Definitely don't make it up as I go and get dislikes because of it.
Dude, you're out of dudes.
Oh, and by the way, if you didn't know about this movie, yeah, this movie's kind of dark. Also, this Shredder pulls off the same floating landing that he did in the original 90s movie. Then Batman and Shredder go toe-to-toe, which is sick as fuck. But Shredder does some Master Oogway shit and wins the fight, letting Batman live for whatever reason. Then Batman immediately goes after the Turtles. Once again, Aura.
Take him down.
You're welcome to try.
Oh my god, cinema. But they fight for a bit because the Turtles think that Batman is working with the Shredder. Then this happens.
I think we should see other people.
But I don't like other people.
Same. Also pizza finally. Nice.
Think fast. Oh! He thought too fast.
Wait, Mikey's kind of funny in this one. But the Turtles retreat, and then we find out that the Shredder is working with none other than Ra's al Ghul. Then Shredder says this.
Your plan would be nothing without me and my supply
enemy of the Ooze.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to say the word ooze and still sound like a menacing villain. But they start turning their henchmen into werewolves or something. The Turtles then find out who Batman is and says this.
So he wears a Dracula costume and punches clowns. Who cares?
Dracula costume? What kind of Dracula movies are you watching?
Honestly, fair take, Donnie. Anyway, so the Turtles sneak into Batman's lair. Then they get jumped by Robin, who actually beats their asses. That is mad disrespectful. And then they all talk things out and find out they're kind of on the same page. Then Ra's al Ghul reminds us that this is a dark movie. Then they go to break out the Joker to help them with their plans. Meanwhile, the Turtles order pizza. Alfred says this.
Can you handle all that? It's a lot of pizza.
Young lady, I assure you, there's no amount of greasy cheese bread that could surpass my abilities.
Based. Anyway, Batman's all brooding and doesn't want pizza. They make a counter agent to the Ooze, slightly similar storyline to the last movie actually, and then the bat signal goes off.
Leonardo and his brothers are important assets, but you'll have to follow orders. This is still my city.
Alright, Oliver Queen, chill. So they head to Arkham because the Shredder and Ra's let all the Batman villains out and gave them the Ooze, which turned them all into monsters. So they pull a let's split up gang Scooby-Doo moment and go looking for all of the monster villains. Then there's a whole lot of monster fighting and stuff. We see Joker the Snake, also voiced by Troy Baker. Shout out. Joker and Harley Quinn do this. Then they inject Batman with the Ooze so he turns into a bigger bat. They fight a little bit and then they find a way to turn him back. While he recovers, the Turtles and Batgirl figure out where Shredder and Ra's are building the machine. Batman tells the Turtles to go home because he's a brooding loner man. Raph hits him with the you and me are the same and Batman's like, fine, okay, let's do this. So they go after Ra's and the Shredder. There's a whole car fight sequence. Batgirl aura farms. There's a Foot Clan dinosaur. Mikey pushes some explodey buttons. Then they pose for a thumbnail. Then Batman does a rematch against Shredder while the Turtles face off against Ra's, who does the thing Boomy does in Avatar The Last Airbender. He beats the shit out of Donnie, Mikey gets beamed up, and then Leo Master Oogway's Ra's, defeating him. And then just as Shredder is about to beat Batman, Batman does the impossible.
Any last words?
Cowabunga.
Yes! Yes! Oh my god, the cinema! Then they defeat Shredder and blow up the machine. Crisis averted, the end.
Wait. You can't leave now. It's pizza time.
Cinema. Just pure cinema. So that was Batman versus the Turtles, and honestly, it was pretty fun. Starting off with the characters, I honestly really liked them. They were all exactly as I pictured them. Mikey was pretty funny, and overall, I enjoyed them a lot. They get a 5. For villains, they were also pretty damn good. Though I will say, I feel like the Shredder was the worst out of all the villains, and he's the only non-Batman villain. He was just kind of there, but he fought really well and he was cool, so I'll give the villains a 4. The plot overall was fine. It was solid. I liked the way they organically had Batman and the Turtles meet and work together. I thought using the Batman villains as a distraction was definitely cool, but the whole machine ooze thing was kinda meh. I might be slightly biased because I've watched so many of these movies at this point, but I'll still give it a 3. For the ninja-ing, it wasn't great. Not bad, but not great, so I'll give it a 3. And then finally for pizza, there was a good amount of pizza here. Scenes revolving around pizza, Batman says pizza time. It was good. It gets a 4, which leaves this movie with a very respectable 19 out of 25. This was certainly a fun one.
I like turtles.
Next up, we have Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I believe is the movie version of a show with the same name, though I don't know for sure since I don't do proper research. Research is for those who are wiser with their time management. I was literally playing Peak all week instead of writing the script for this video. Please subscribe to my gaming channel. Literally beat Peak with 2 cannons in my inventory. It was legendary. Anyway, the movie starts off with a bang as we see Master Leo and Casey running around a battlefield in the year 2044. Apparently, the Krang won and all that's left is Leo, Casey, and Mikey, Dobby, Gollum, Yoda.
We still got a ninja's greatest weapon.
Sneaking.
Oh.
Also, they happen to have magic powers, which normally I think would be stupid in this kind of movie, but I think it's actually really cool. But Michelangelo Yoda opens a portal and sends Casey back in time to before the Krang showed up. Then we see the largest stack of pizza ever. That is the amount of pizza I want to see in these movies, man. Anyway, we learn that these guys have powers and defeated the Shredder, but are pretty careless and overconfident about being heroes, especially Leo, which is really out of character.
We have a 317-39.4 in progress. Oh, come on! Has nobody read Donnie's big book of bad guy codes? Nobody?
Never gonna happen.
I've been there, Donnie. Is anyone else ever gonna watch my jump in video? Are people ever gonna forgive me for calling these guys claymation, even though I state in the video why I call them that, and that some are made out of clay? Am I ever gonna make a video about Twilight where I make an epic rap battle between Jacob and Edward? That might actually happen once I have enough confidence to do so. Anyway, they go after Hippo Dude and this bikini bottom looking man, only to run into the Foot Clan.
I'll be taking this. After all these centuries, this is ours.
Dude, you need to drink some water. Holy shit, clear your throat. But they escape with some cylinder device, and then Raph gets mad at Leo for letting them get away. Also, Raph is kind of the leader in this one, which is an interesting take.
I'm responsible for keeping us safe and making sure we can handle anything that comes our way. Because if I don't, you could all end up dead.
Sorry, I missed that. Can you repeat everything from, well, everything?
See, this is interesting because the voice actor is great. Love him, love his deliveries and such, but I hate Leo in this movie so far. Then Splinter comes in and yells at them for being too loud, as he wants to watch his soap operas. Same, Splinter. Same. Guys, do you think Splinter's Team Jeremiah or Team Conrad? Comment down below. Anyway, then we meet April, who says her own name as a point of confidence.
April O'Neil.
Then she runs into Casey and she brings Casey back to the Turtles. And he explains that he's from the future and all that stuff. He gives the whole backstory. Also, side note, this animation is sick as hell. I don't know if I've said that yet, but it's great.
In the future, an alien race decimated the planet. We were hunted. We lived in caves. We ate leaves and rats. No offense.
None taken. We are delicious.
Splinter, how do you know that? How do you know that? Anyway, they go after the Foot to find the key thingy that will open the door for the Krang. They pose for a YouTube thumbnail, and then a whole lot of cool fights start happening. Kablooey! Kaplamo! Pow! Then Krang somehow takes away all their powers. Splinter gets hurt, and Raph decides to have them retreat. Except Leo, who tries to stop the Krang here and now. But he fails, and as he's about to get stabbed, Raph saves him and gets left behind.
Congratulations on surviving, fam.
Alright, Donnie, that confetti and banner's a little much, bro. Then Leo finally locks in and goes full revenge spree. This is what we like to call character development. And they all go after the Krang and the Foot. Meanwhile, the Krang starts infecting civilians as well as none other than Raph. Meanwhile, April and Splinter try to destroy the key, using any means necessary. But I think they forgot about a couple options. Coconut water, a nuke, the Chicago typewriter from Resident Evil 4, the Pixar lamp, or how about emotionally scarring it by showing everyone hating on Conrad for finally expressing his feelings after having literal depression for his mom dying of cancer and getting therapy to make himself whole again. God, what is that show doing to me? Anyway, the Krang attacks Splinter and April. They do a funny gag where she throws this book, and the Turtles lose once again to the Krang. Here, Casey calls out Leo for being lazy, arrogant, and weak, and to control his emotions. If you know what I'm referencing, shout out to you. And he tells Leo that in the future, all of his brothers die. So he learns to work together and reunites with his brothers. And then they find Raph, who turns into my ex-girlfriend. Sorry, I said I was done. Then creepy ass Thomas the Train shows up and we get another big fight scene. Just kidding, they leave. And the Krang gets the key and manages to open the portal, letting ruin fall upon the world. We then get a cool POV shot from the soldier, and then we get an even sadder YouTube thumbnail. It's hard being a leader. And then it's just a 3-minute black and white TikTok edit using a song from Taylor Swift's Red album. Then Leo makes an unhinged face and they decide not to give up. Then they do a third thumbnail, the cinematic masterpiece that is the rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Then they do the final battle. April, Splinter, and Casey go against one of the Krang, Leo fights Raph, and Donnie becomes part of the ship, part of the crew, in order to send the ship back through the portal. Then Leo tells Raph the sun's getting real low, and then through the power of brotherhood and friendship, they get their magical powers back.
This isn't the poster shot. Someone's getting fired.
Dude, I've made too many poster thumbnail jokes already. Fuck. Then a lot more fights break out. Kick, pow, punch, heel, tumble, spin, ka-chow. Is that a fighting word? I don't know. Shout out to Cars. Then in the final act, Leo sacrifices himself by going into the portal with Krang to make sure he stays there. Literally pulls a Big Hero 6. But Mikey comes in clutch as well as the rest of the Turtles, and using their gifts, they manage to save Leo.
Ew, are we in Staten Island?
Then Casey finally eats pizza for the first time. We learn that his mom is like him, but in the present day, which totally screws up the timeline because is there now 2 of him? And what is he never going to be I don't know, my brain hurts too much. I can't think about that right now. But Raph and Leo make up and they do the pizza challenge once again. So this movie was honestly really fun and really different from the rest. I love the animation and the cinematography in this one especially. Starting with the characters though, I did really like them a lot, but they didn't feel too much like the turtles I would expect them to be. Raph being more of the leader and kind of friendly, Leo being careless, it's not really them in my opinion. Still, I really liked their characters in this, so I'll give it a 3. For the villain, I've seen Krang a lot now, and this was definitely the one with the most aura out of all of them. But he was kind of just there and didn't do a ton for me, so he gets a 3. For the plot, I actually really liked it. Way different from the other movies, but I do think that the magical powers is cool, and the idea of Leo coming into being the leader is a decent story point, so I'll give it a 4. For the Ninja Star, I'm starting to realize this one might be a little unfair, but also extremely fair for the rankings, because while they are ninjas, they didn't do like any ninja-ing. No sneaking around, they almost always got caught. I have to unfortunately give them a 2. And then for pizza, they came in clutch. While there were only really 2 scenes of pizza, this was definitely the most pizza shown in any of the movies just by sheer quantity in the shot. So I will give the pizza star a 5, which leaves this movie with a grand total of 17 out of 25 points or 3.4 stars. Certainly not a bad score.
I like turtles.
Now onto our final Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, which is none other than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. So the movie starts off with some soldiers going after this man who owns a pet bug and develops this ooze that turns the fly and other creatures into monsters. However, one of the vials drops into the sewer, and that's how we get the turtles we have today. Then we finally see some ninja-ing, only to just shop for groceries.
Don't let any human see you. Because why? Humans are the demon scum of the earth. Avoid them. Don't say hi. They lust to murder that which is different from them. To interact with them is to die.
The script's kind of great in this. Also, these are definitely the youngest turtles we've seen so far, but they definitely act the most like teenagers, which is what they are. So it's kind of a nice change of pace. But they do steal a bunch of food. Yes, I do mean steal. Unless I missed it, I never saw them pay for this. Then they stay out and go see a movie. We definitely get an interesting feeling for this movie unlike the rest. It's like the childhood wonder mixed with the teenage need to fit in, but even worse considering that they're mutants. You know, turtles. Whether this movie ends up being good or not, it definitely can feel relatable at times to anyone who watches it. Then we get the most dad-looking Splinter ever, who by the way, I'm not going to go super hard into the cast, just know the cast is stacked.
Man, it's just a bad Mickey Mouse costume. It's real! I touched it!
But they get in trouble for sneaking out.
You don't remember why humans are disgusting monsters? Why they're dangerous? Why they're gonna milk us? For our blood?
We don't even have nipples!
Yeah, so this is a recurring joke in this movie, and it does not get any less weird. Then we get the backstory and hey, that's the meme! But we see that going out into the real world isn't for them and they get grounded. Then they talk about how they wish they could go to high school and live a normal life, in which I would respond with, no. Run while you can. High school is nothing but a prison that will lead you to an eternal pits of hell and will prepare for nothing more than a life of sadness and despair. Also, why does Mikey have braces? Like, how do you even get those? Anyway, they finally go outside again and record some TikToks, and then they accidentally almost kill April with a ninja star. Literally, if she didn't have a helmet, she would be dead. But while that happens, she also gets robbed, so they go to help her and run into trouble themselves.
I've never actually been in a fight before, and I don't know if you noticed, but all I've got is a big stick. How did I end up with a big stick?
Maybe we defuse this situation with laughter.
You're not funny enough for that, dude.
Yeah, that's how I feel about you every other movie, Mikey. Then a huge fight breaks out, and they somehow win, even though they've never actually fought before. Donnie gets stabbed, but walks it off apparently. We hear a callback to Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. And then they finally meet April, who gets the inside scoop into their lives. Also, Leo has a crush on her, which is interesting. But they ask if anyone else would accept them, and she said no, and that she only did because they saved her. So they decide, what if they started helping people and going after criminals?
It's like Hulk in Avengers Endgame. Sure, he's a giant, terrifying green monster, but everyone knows he saved them, so they're taking selfies with him in a diner. You know, Mark Ruffalo mostly improvised that scene?
You know, I think it's weird to reference movies that just came out recently, and then I realized Endgame came out 6 years ago, and I want to die. Last week I went to the beach and saw a shirt that said, "In dog years I'm dead," and right now I'm really regretting not buying that because that's how I feel. Then Leo does this.
Is that you guys for real?
Hi, April. Yes, it's Leo. You know.
Good thing I've never done that once in one of my videos. But then he says this.
So, it's a date.
Wait, what?
Stop. Oh, it's like bad service or something. I'll see you tonight. Who's got no risen now?
Don't lose me, movie, please. Then April shows them around high school. We get to see this scene, which is disgusting. Then they create a plan to go after Superfly, the main villain of this movie, which leads to the best scene of this movie, the montage scene. 10 out of 10 song, 10 out of 10 fights, Wilhelm scream, it's all there. But then the turtles do this.
I got my puff and my Timbs. I need my bacon, egg, and cheese, too. You got the good Superfly?
Bacon, egg, and cheese. Bacon, egg, and cheese. Let me get a bacon, egg, and cheese.
I hate how painfully accurate this movie is at portraying a teenager. Then Splinter surprises them with a party, which is the most wholesome thing ever. He tries to bring the outside world to them to make them happy, and honestly, just W Dad. Can we comment W Dad to this Splinter right here? Please comment that down below. Also, the Chris bit was funny. But the turtles shoot him down and then go find Superfly. Oh, they're Superfly. Then we find out that they're all cousins, kinda sorta, because Superfly and his crew were all infected by the same ooze 15 years ago. Also, if I had a nickel for every time Seth Rogen played a warthog in a movie, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Then Superfly says he's not trying to make a weapon, but to make something that creates something. Basically, he says he doesn't want to kill until he says he wants to kill.
And then I knew what to do. I decided to kill all the humans and let the mutants rule the earth.
That's a take.
Do I laugh or do I cringe? I don't know. Anyway, so Superfly wants to make a device that turns all animals into monsters like them and take over the human race. Then the turtles are like, do you really want to do that? He gets mad, but they try to take the device from Superfly and basically fail.
No! He used my stick against me! Now he's mollywopping me!
Okay, that one's funny. But Superfly gets away with the device and the turtles get captured. Then creepy monologue lady starts monologuing and the milk joke actually comes into fruition. She literally starts milking them for their blood. It's crazy.
Come on, guys. Smooth like butter. Criminal undercover.
You guys don't even know the words.
Is this movie good or not? Then Splinter shows up and does some badassery. Literally dad of the year right here. But he got here with the help of April, who he trusts now, yells at them for getting milked by the Mega Milker 2000, what the fuck is that name? And go to try to stop Superfly by convincing the other guys that killing is bad. I know. Crazy concept. But it low-key works, and everyone's like, alright, we cool. But Superfly still says no, and they all fight him to turn off the machine. But instead, the machine blows up along with him, and he becomes the final form of my ex-girl. Sorry. He turns into a giant ocean zoo monster, which is disturbing as fuck. Then Splinter makes a speech about how they need to stop Superfly in order to earn their place in society with the humans.
I want you to be happy, so we are gonna get that monster. We're gonna take him down. We're gonna film it. We are gonna show it to the world. And the world will love you and accept you.
Oh man, I am feeling great after that speech, right?
It was rousing. I'm fully roused, you know.
Aura. This movie be ending with aura. Then the final fight breaks out.
Mercedes E-Class, no!
That was a Prius, it's okay. Oh, Tesla, somebody's mad about that.
Then the television depicts the turtles as the villains, which really hurts the turtles' feelings, but they decide to man up and help anyway. Plus, April sneaks into the news station to tell everyone that they are in fact the heroes. Because of this, the humans actually help Splinter and pull an amazing Spider-Man to get the antidote to the turtles. Leo throws it in, and Superfly is officially defeated. Then the crowd cheers for the turtles. Not very ninja-like, but in this moment, I'll let it slide.
Them turtles are all right.
Find my baby!
What? Then they get so accepted into society that they go to high school. Glad they're living their dreams to the fullest. High school. Enjoy your cold-ass cafeteria pizza and desk that you definitely can't fit in with your shells. Also, look, it's the Shredder. So that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, and as you can tell, I had a hard time figuring out if I truly liked this movie or not. It definitely is a good movie, I'd say, but it may or may not be for you. I don't know. But as far as the rankings go, for the Turtles, I'd give them a solid 4. They were really fun, but I didn't really see them as the Turtles. They kind of all acted the same. That said, I saw the potential, and I think we'll see them become more like their characters in future sequels. So I'll still give them a 4. For the villain, I'll give him a 3. He was definitely cool, but he kind kind of just said words and did stuff to do stuff. Also, he looked threatening, but I never actually felt threatened by him, so he gets a 3. For the plot, I actually really liked it. Some of the new stuff with high school and them being younger, really wanting to be in the outside world, was really cool. And the Ooze mutant plot is the same as we've seen before, but still good. I'll give it a 4. For the ninja in, they started off really good and then kind of went all over the place and landed in the public eye near the end, so I do unfortunately have to give it a 2. I feel like not very many of these movies were great at ninjaing, if I'm gonna be honest. Then lastly, for pizza, there was a decent amount, but also not a ton, so I'll give it a 3, which leaves this movie with a total of 16 out of 25 points, or 3.2 stars. The score may not show it, but this was still a really fun movie. Now, as it stands, this is our current ranking of all of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. However, like I mentioned at the start of this video, we do have 3 bonus stars, each worth 3 points, and it's time to award them now. This is still anyone's game. The first bonus star is which movie I felt had the best Splinter, both by his look, his humor, his demeanor, his fighting skills, his teachings, etc. And I am happy to award that to none other than the Splinter from the 2007's TMNT movie. He just had such a calm but fierce way about him. He was very loving and caring towards the turtles. He could fight like hell. I liked his design, and it might be biased, but Mako voicing him was just the cherry on top. Once again, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Now, yes, that might be a little unfair, but this is my list and my opinion, so I can do as I please. There were a lot of good Splinters, though. The next star is for which movie has the best April O'Neil, in my opinion. And for this, I think it's a fairly easy answer. I'm going to give this bonus star to the April from the 2007 TMNT movie as well. She was a badass in it, she was smart, she was a leader, she looked out for the brothers, and she had a sick outfit. Now, there were definitely a lot of good and bad variations of April in these movies, but she is by far my favorite, so 2007 TMNT gets the second bonus star as well. The third and final bonus star is easily the most controversial one, I think, but it's which movie has the best turtle design. We have had a lot of different types of looks for the turtles, from CGI to costumes to animation to 3D animation, but I am going to award this to the design that I personally and biasly think is my favorite, which is the design from the original 1990s live-action movie, as well as its sequel, since I think they're more or less the exact same thing. Yes, this is probably biased. I love the design in 2007's TMNT and the Rise of the Mutants as well, but these live-action ones are just satisfying to me, even with the creepy demon face, so I will award this third bonus star to both of those movies. Now, before I get into the final standings, I do want to award one final thing. This was not planned at all, but ever since I started this video, I had Go Ninja Go on repeat. It's just that good. So the second Turtles movie that debuted this song, I'm giving you 1 extra point. You deserve it. Now, with all these bonus stars tallied up, we finally have our rankings. In third place, with a total of 21 points, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Secret of the Ooze. In second place, with a score of 23 points, we have the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. And then, winning by 1 point, our best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie goes to TMNT from 2007. Honestly, so well deserved. It was such a good movie. But to be fair, I was surprised by how many of these I actually really liked. No, not all of them were made equal. They weren't all perfect, but they were all enjoyable in their own right. But real shit, they all gotta get better at showing the turtles as ninjas. Maybe the rumored R-rated turtle movie will do that better. But guys, you know what I'm gonna say? Let me know what you think. Do you agree with my list, or do you now hate me forever? Let me know your rankings, which one you like the best. Please comment all of that down below. And a quick reminder that I have a Patreon where you can see all of my unedited reactions to these movies. I know there's not much else on there now, but there will be soon. I also now have a gaming channel that I would really appreciate you checking out, maybe subscribing to. And then please, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment down below your thoughts, and consider hitting that subscribe button. For now though, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a kick-ass rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.